Here is my recap of Dexter Season 3, Episode 10, entitled Go Your Own Way. This has to be one of the best and most incredible cat and mouse episodes of any television series ever. There's a lot that goes on in this episode, and it almost all revolves around Dexter and Miguel, one going after the other. With the way the last episode ended, Dexter now knows what Miguel is all about. And this episode starts with them at dinner, and the wives are there as well. It's Miguel, Dexter, Rita, and Miguel's wife. And it's at that meeting and that dinner where Dexter says, I've got three options with Miguel as he's doing his internal monologue. One, he can kill him. But that's not going to work well because he's very well known and everybody around him will be scrutinized, and because he's become his best friend, that's not going to work well for Dexter. The other option is to just try and cut him out of his life. Well, it was at that moment where he thought about that where Miguel says, you know what? We're at this nice restaurant. I'm actually going to pay for them to cater your wedding. And Dexter says, well, there goes that idea. He's getting too involved in his life. Cutting him out is not going to work. So the third option he has is to just make him go his own way. None of the things work. We've got this cat and mouse going back and forth the whole episode where one thinks they have the upper hand on the other one gets the upper hand on the other one, and it literally goes back and forth. And to see all the little nuances, you really should watch the episode. But what it comes down to is Dexter is really trying to figure out a way to get Miguel out of his life. So he figures he's going to not follow, but he's going to let Miguel know that this isn't going to work. I want you out of my life. Dexter flat out tells him this, and I want you to go your own way. Miguel says it doesn't work that way. He's got some sort of leverage, and he lets him know that this is how this works, that he's in control. So it's at that point where where Miguel says, no, basically it's Dexter, no, that's not going to work. And he immediately goes to LaGuerta, because they've had a relationship in the past, LaGuerta and Miguel did, and he gets close with her in this investigation of the DA that went missing, the defense attorney that went missing. And by getting close to her, kind of cuts Dexter out because he's got Miguel. Well, Miguel has LaGuerta under his finger. This doesn't set well with Dexter. So what Dexter does is he catches Miguel over at LaGuerta's house. They actually have a moment and kiss, and it's shortly thereafter where Dexter shows up and catches them there and thinks he's got, some more leverage on, because it does surprise Miguel, like he's got more leverage on Miguel. Then it jumps to Dexter going home, and Rita says, oh, I told his wife about LaGuerta. Dexter's like, oh, no. And what you've got is, at that point, Miguel's wife goes over to LaGuerta's house and catches him coming out of LaGuerta's house. That's when Miguel's gets really angry at this. So the next morning, he goes to Dexter, says, you don't bring family into this. I know what's going on with you. And I'm going to basically nail you to the wall, and presents more evidence to him in some paperwork that he's got about his sister. He says, I'm going to nail your sister to the wall for sleeping with Anton, the CI, and I've got all the paperwork right here. And he leaves the paperwork for Dexter and says, you can keep it. I've got extras. And that's when Dexter says, all right, I got to finally get the upper hand on him. I can't do this. So he comes up with this ingenious plan. He actually goes to Miguel's house and tells his maid, hey, Miguel's going to be my best man in my wedding. There's a book I want to get him, a first edition of this book. Can I have access to his den to see what he already has so that I can get the right book? So she lets him in. When he's there, he's looking for a trophy. Almost every killer keeps a trophy. Dexter knows this. So he's looking for the ring that was on the defense attorney's hand because he knows it was missing with the evidence. He's going through everything and finds out that it's in Miguel's cigar box. So he takes the ring, makes sure he doesn't touch it, puts it into a bag, and leaves a note saying the cleaners. So he leaves the lid up a little bit so that Miguel sees it. So Miguel comes home and sees that the lid's up a little bit, goes in there, finds the cleaners thing, goes to the cleaners, gets his shirt, and on the shirt, they said, we couldn't get the stain out. We couldn't get the blood out. Once it's dried, we can't get it. And it was the shirt that Miguel gave to Dexter, the one that had the fake blood on, not fake blood. It was the cow's blood, not his blood from the night Freebo was killed. And he then goes to see Dexter at the police department, says, this isn't going to work on me. He goes, you don't know who you're dealing with. I always win. Dexter's real calm the whole time and, is basically trying to get Miguel angry. And he's now understanding he can't control Miguel. There's no controlling Miguel. And this definitely tells him in his mind that he's going to have to go. Well, they do this weird shot during this scene where it looks like somebody's looking from a distance away. And as soon as Dexter goes down, Miguel makes a phone call, and it's the Skinner on the phone. And Miguel says, if you want to know who the Skinner or where Freebo is, Dexter Morgan is the guy who knows this. And that's when the Skinner says, how do I know you're telling me the truth? That's when Miguel, the assistant district attorney, tells him, well, I let you go in the past, and, you can trust me. And that's when the very last scene is Dexter being kidnapped by who we would assume is the Skinner. We don't see his face, but Dexter's in the car garage, and he's making a call, and he gets basically a hood on him from behind and gets his hands wrapped up, and he's thrown into the trunk of a car, and they drive off. And that's how the episode ends. There was a little bit with Anton also and Dexter's sister Deborah. He's in the department talking to Quinn, the guy who's basically been giving him money under the cash to be the CI, or money under the table, cash under the table to be the CI. He says, Deborah told me it was a clerical error, and Quinn's like, no, I really apologize. It was actually me. I strung you along the whole time, and you never got charged in the first place. You were free this whole time. And that's when Anton totally cold cocks, Anton, who's the CI, cold cocks Quinn right there in the police department, and he goes outside and has a conversation with Deborah, and Deborah is all up in arms and isn't sure she can be with Anton. So they have some decisions to make in some upcoming episodes, how they want their relationship to be, because this episode did start with them sleeping together. She ends up staying at his house the whole time, and the next morning he has to get up and leave, and that's how basically the police department knows that they're sleeping together, and how the ADA, Miguel, got the information is because he's being detailed to make sure that he is safe until they find the actual Skinner. So this episode was nothing other than one big cat and mouse episode, which was fantastic. The way it went, the emotions that you felt for these characters, this is definitely, out of the 3 seasons of Dexter so far, is the best. I think it's the most well-written. It keeps you just gripping your seat, and it's going to come to an explosive end here in the season. So we've got 2 episodes left. If you like these reviews, please hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It helps me out tremendously. I will continue to recap every single episode of Dexter leading up to the final season. Well, not the final season, but we got a new season coming up later this year, which is season 9. Who knows if that'll be the final season? They're saying it's going to be the final season, but, I bet if it does wildly well, they'll figure out a way to come out with more, unless they happen to kill Dexter Morgan at the end of the season, but who knows how that's going to end. So we'll see what happens leading up to the end of this season, and we've got 5 more seasons after this leading up to season 9. So we got a lot to go over, and look for the next review shortly. I do appreciate it.